Basically, the interview syllabus is DAF plus whatever you have done so far. Highest syllabus, maximum syllabus, it is of interview. Always be honest. Always follow the path of honesty. Go for the one which is slightly unique, because that has greater chance of the board asking question. You are confident, but at the same time very respectful, right? And because they have greater experience, go ahead with any kind of without any kind of biases. I think that would be the right approach will be there.
Hello dear aspirants, I am Vishal Salsekar and I welcome you all for this special conversational video regarding UPSC Personality Test 2024. So as we know that recently UPSC has released the results of mains examination, and I would like to congratulate all of you who have secured their place in the list for the personality test. But there are many candidates who might not have cleared for this particular point of time. But don't get disheartened and try to analyze that where you might have lagged and try to work upon that particular aspect. But nevertheless, so with the personality test, one prominent thing that comes to our mind is the detailed application form 2.0. So this detailed application form creates a lot of confusions at the mind of students, and to discuss and decode all these kind of confusions, I am joined by Himanshu Khatri sir, who is the faculty of Vision IAS. Welcome sir.
Thank you so much.
So sir, as this DAF creates a lot of issues with respect to the students, that how they need to reach out with respect to this particular form. But before discussing about DAF, let's tell something about like what kind of personality traits that UPSC is seeking from the side of students.
First of all, very congratulations. You have reached this stage. That is proof of your hard work and your merit. So therefore, that's the first thing. Second, answering your question on the traits, well, there are certain traits like rationality, analytical skills. That is whether when you are under pressure, at that point of time, are you able to maintain your calm? Are you able to analyze things in a logical, rational manner to arrive at things which are what you call as right things to be done at that particular point of time? So are you, both things are important, rationality also, logic also, and then ability to think on the feet, right? So therefore, that's why many of the times when in the interview, stressful questions are asked. The purpose of the board, in my opinion, is not to basically put you, down or anything, but they want to check that when you are down, when you are under stress, how do you react to it? Right. So any interview where no stressful questions are asked, I don't think that is a complete interview, and I don't judge it as a good interview in the terms when candidates they say that my every question was very easy. So I'm a little unsure. So that's like one aspect. Second aspect is one should always be having an ability to show inclusiveness, because whenever any problem is there, be it an economic problem, be it a social problem, so therefore there are always multiple stakeholders. So is your personality such which is able to take a 360-degree view, and that is you are everyone's, you are a public servant, right? So therefore you should have the ability to think from every stakeholder's perspective. So only then actually you will have empathy, both emotional as well as cognitive empathy, to take a decision which will be truly on the side of law and justice. So second aspect is inclusivity, right? Empathy I have already included. Right. You should be a go-getter, because things in bureaucracy at times are very tough things to do, right? So can you be a leader? Will you give up very easily? Right. So it's not emotional stubbornness. It's not that if you have answered a particular question in a particular way and then you're not ready to change, you're stubborn. It's not that. It's that whether you have passion to continue, learn on the way, amend your ways. Are you open to change, or you think too sure of, or you're too sure of yourself? You think that you're always right. That reflects arrogance, which is a negative trait. So these kind of traits are the ones which make a wholesome personality. And do you have ability to take orders, right, and follow them, right? So it's like a mix. You should not turn out as a person who is always rebellious, but at the same time you should be a person who is open to new thinkings, and you're open to, in a polite manner, suggesting to your seniors a different approach.
Exactly.
Right. So it is a mix. It's a healthy balance.
Right. So, sir, basically, as you are saying that it's not about just answering the question what UPSC panel is asking you, but in general, reflect your personality in front of them, because it's your personality that will be carrying all these kind of virtues that you have already talked about.
Actually, verbal communication and a non-verbal communication, they tell a lot about a person, and the whole purpose of asking the question is basically to check your underlying values. Yeah.
So, sir, in further taking this particular question only, that there is a detailed application form 2.0 that we are going to talk about. So, how important this particular form is, like how this form is going to analyze your personality and what kind of information this form is going to put in front of the interviewers, those who are sitting in front of you.
The way UPSC syllabus is important for UPSC prelims and mains exams, similarly DAF 2.0 is important for the interview exam. It's basically your syllabus, and the beautiful thing is you get to choose your syllabus.
Right.
So the DAF form 2.0, it basically talks about your personality, your hobbies, your interests, anything you would want to highlight to the board, that these are my special scholarships, special medals, special prizes. Right? It gives you an opportunity to highlight certain aspects of your personality, of your life, which you want the board to know in advance. And also it has basic information about your home state, right, your choices of zones and cadres, so your service preferences. So basically it makes DAF 2.0 actually makes the interview a two-way process, whereby the candidate is also given a choice to highlight certain things. It is upon the board whether the board wants to choose that particular topic as a topic, to ask questions upon. But yes, that is a hint to the board that if you want to judge my personality, then please also ask questions on these things. I have something to tell you.
Right. So when the people are telling something to the interview board, that is a very crucial kind of information, because a lot of things, a lot of questions are going to be based upon that particular thing, as you are already highlighting. So what kind of things that a student or the aspirant has to keep in mind while filling this form, because this is a very crucial piece of information.
Two aspects to it. Yes, in most of the cases, ideally there should be questions from the DAF, but at times, again, to put you in a stressful situation, the board may not ask any question from the DAF,
Right.
or may not ask any question from the DAF for a very long period of time, because they also know that the student or the candidate was expecting, that okay, maybe the first, maybe the second, maybe the third. And then the student psychologically, how does he behave, or the candidate, how does he behave when something unexpected happens, right? So one should not form any 100% preconceived notions, but yes, in most of the cases, DAF does play a very, very important role, right? So that is what is there. While filling the DAF, that was your question, right? While filling the DAF, one should always be honest, always follow the path of honesty. One should not come across as an arrogant personality. Right? One should not come across as a personality who says how to find arrogance. For example, let's say in achievements, you are mentioning a lot of stuff. That gives a thing that too much of information. Right. I was class monitor. That's not a distinction leadership thing. Okay, so be precise.
Right.
Because the more you mention, actually you're increasing your syllabus also. Right? So if in your sports you mention one sport, that's good enough. At max 2, if you really feel for it. Mentioning 3 sports and then using the extra interest and hobbies section also to mention something related to physical activity, you are increasing your syllabus like anything. History of sport, origin of that sport, latest developments in that sport, right? Gender justice in that particular sport, recent Indian achievements in that sport, why sports infrastructure, right? Recent policies on that sport, or in general for sports, you're increasing your syllabus, right? So one should be balanced, neither too less, nor too much in excess. If you're confused between 3, at max go for 2, at max, or 1 is like very good, right? So be honest as far as possible. Information should be such information that just in case if someone is doubting you, all right, then you have some credible piece of information, legal information to back that stuff. See, for simple things, that if someone mentioned that in my school and college I used to participate in drama, no one is going to actually, no one is going to ask you legally, ideally, for things. But something you mentioned, which is of like some bigger ramification.
Right.
So there you should always be prepared for some time. Fakeness will not be tolerated. That's there. Baki rest of the things are personal. For example, the service preferences, right? They are personal things, right? Zonal preferences, right? So they are personal things. We can have a discussion on that. But yes, these two things I feel, balance and honesty, and use of such words that even if something is like balance, if something is too grandiose, slightly tone it down. If something you feel is too, looking too low to mention in those words, maybe accentuate it to make it slightly more respectable or dignified. So balance, I would say.
So, sir, now what you are talking already about the achievements, excellence categories, or maybe the leadership role that the one has got, or maybe the hobbies section. So this becomes very crucial section because a lot of new information, because in the personal information, the information is comparatively static. If there are some development, then only the questions are going to be there. But regarding these hobbies, because almost every candidate might be having something different, there will be some different kind of achievements will be there. So as you are talking about that, some vague kind of writing of those things should be prohibited by the students. But we came across a lot of things when they are talking about something specific, but that is not mentioned clearly, that what kind of distinction they held, what kind of leadership role. So can you briefly provide an example with respect to that what kind of distinction we are going to talk about here?
At times, to make things more specific, it is good habit to mention maybe the reason, right? Or maybe have a slightly more clarity. For example, if you're mentioning an award, so by just using 2 more words or 3 more words, this XYZ award for XYZ thing.
Okay.
Right. So therefore, that's a good way. You have told this thing. Then specificity wise, for example, with respect to, for example, it was not. I take an example of hobby. So luckily, I got the highest marks in my interview board. Okay, 206 or 207 out of 275. Now you would not believe if I told you that in my hobby, in the spirit of honesty and in the spirit of being precise, right? I wrote singing Hindi Bollywood songs.
Okay.
Right. I did not. So it was a well thought out thing, because if I had said music, it's too wide a domain. Right. If I said singing songs, again, there are songs in different languages. Right. If I said singing Hindi songs, then within that there are different genres, right? Genre or whatever. Right. So therefore, I was like clear, specific, and to maintain the spirit of honesty, I also read a whole book actually after that on the history of Hindi Bollywood songs, this big book. And I was myself, much more aware and surprised that, okay, it's a proper technical field. And the respect for music kind of like songs, Bollywood songs also increased. So that's like one example and reason wala example. To baki choice of words should be careful. Yeah.
So vague kind of thing like running. So mentioning.
हाँ रनिंग मतलब थोड़ा सा मजाक में बोलूँ तो ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि आप मतलब एज इफ यू आर स्पिटिंग ऑन द फेस ऑफ द बोर्ड, है ना? तो ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए कि धड़ाक रनिंग सिंगिंग मतलब थोड़ा उस वो लैक ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट सा भी फील होता है थोड़ा सा, मतलब है ना, आप एहसान नहीं कर रहे ना उनके ऊपर वहाँ पे जाके, थोड़ा सा मतलब एक उसका एक वो ह्यूमिलिटी भी दिखता है कि चलो आपने थोड़ा सा ब्रीफ में एक रीज़न सा भी बता दिया, बहुत वेग सा हो जाता है रनिंग म्यूज़िक बॉलीवुड राइट, ऐसा तो ड्रामा डांस एंड थिएटर है ना, तो थोड़ा सा आप बता दें तो बेहतर रहता है स्पेसिफिक.
So sir, now this was the most discretion wala aspect that one can put the information in it. Now coming to comparatively lesser discretion but with having like a larger ramification with respect to that, which is a cadre and the zone preference, because a lot of things are going to be based upon like where you are going to get allocated with respect to service, if it is all India services and all. So the cadre and the zone plays a very very important role. So sir, regarding filling that cadre preference, if you want to share some kind of insight so that those who are going to fill this particular DAF form, they are going to get certain kind of information with respect to that.
See, by default, it is an expectation of the board, or in general, people, they expect that you will be putting your home cadre related zone first and home cadre first. So it is a well settled thing that everyone wants a home cadre. That's not an issue. It will not get. but by chance if you fill some particular zone which is not part of your home cadre, so that will make the board interested in knowing that why this cadre. It's just it's not nothing negative. It is just simply the board became curious about it. That okay, there's something it is unique. So again in DAF, in general, this principle is also important. If you want the board to ask question on a particular domain, you may choose a hobby or a position of leadership or some other things which we were discussing, which are slightly unique. So that can be a parameter to decide if I'm confused between three. Go for the one which is slightly unique, because that has greater chance of the board asking question. Coming back to the issue of cadre, right? So in earlier times, relatively it was straightforward, but now because of the interplay of zone and cadre, right? So things have become slightly tricky, and it has, I would say that the role of luck factor is slightly more. So of course you would have to go for the zone in which your home cadre is there as zone 1, but it is possible that the second choice in that zone is actually not your real second choice. Your second choice falls in zone 2.
Okay.
Right? So that creates an issue. I think similarly you simply choose the first zone and arrange it, right? Don't spend too much time upon it. Pick zone 1, pick zone 2. Basically arrange your favorite cadres, right? And accordingly जो भी number 1 है उसका zone पकड़ के zone 1, जो भी number 2 आ रहा है अगर वो किसी दूसरे zone में आ रहा है कोई नहीं तो वो zone 2 हो गया आपका. So at least your first choices of each zone, they are like in the spirit of your ideal choice. तो इसको हम simply follow करें तो I think that is the best case scenario.
So thank you for this. Now coming to another most important thing, which is the service preference, because this also this also creates a lot of questions at the mind of the interviewer, because if you are going to fill some services which are not generally considered, that there might be some group B services also that are part of it, and those services might be preferred by someone over certain group A services. So then in that case the board sometime becomes very, very curious that why you have filled like this. So like what should be the strategy that one should adopt?
Definitely, one should be clear in mind. For example, I'll give you an example whereby one of my fellow batchmates, right? So he put basically IAS, IPS, and then he put DANIPS, right? And then Pondicherry Civil Services and Pondicherry Police Services,
okay,
right? And rest of the services he put below. Right, so therefore he has put Group B service much above. So his clarity was there, right? He was clear that he wants such a job where there is people to people, where there is public interaction, right? So therefore he is clear. So he was like, for me Group A and Group B does not matter. For me, the daily lived experience that I am able to solve the issues of the problem at the grassroots level, right? Especially where there is some kind of a public interface, where I feel that I am between the society, I am among the society. So therefore that is the kind of nature of the job which I want. So my first choice is IAS, right? Or IPS, and fine, maybe I would have to wait for 15 years. But I will become IAS after, through DANIPS also, through other services also. So this kind of scenario should be there. Second, for example, if you put foreign services at the top, right? So therefore, in that particular case, you should be the board would expect that you have some, special, deep, keen interest in foreign affairs. You should not come across as a person, that will be too casual. If such an impression is there, sir, I like traveling. तो क्या तुम्हारे लिए कोई टूरिस्ट के लिए हम रिक्रूट कर रहे हैं क्या गवर्नमेंट के रिसोर्सेज पे जस्ट बिकॉज यू लाइक ट्रैवलिंग ठीक है ना तो दैट्स नॉट द की थिंग सॉरी आई डोंट वांट यू आई एम नॉट अ पर्सन हु इज एन एंथुसियास्ट इन फॉरेन पॉलिसी इन IR राइट सो देयरफॉर सेइंग कि आई लाइक टू ट्रैवल दैट शुड बी द maybe you can mention it but at the last right at the last कि हाँ सर ये भी थोड़ा सा ठीक है I don't mind traveling आपने देखा मैंने क्या कहा ठीक है I don't mind traveling at times I even like it
right it gives an idea regarding your personality trait is aligning to that
हाँ और आपने उसको मैंने कहा ना आपको आप मिडिल पे लेके आइए उसको आपने ये नहीं बोला सर I love traveling that's why IFS is my first choice
right
and you are saying sir I don't mind traveling in fact I like it at times because you get a lot of things to learn so that is also an additional factor तो हमने उसको neutral कर दिया है ना। तो इस तरीके से मतलब आप उसको देखें। और भी कोई सर्विस प्रेफरेंस है, फॉर एग्जांपल IRS कभी कभी कोई नंबर 1 पे पड़ता है, स्पेशली फॉर एग्जांपल लेडीज उसको नंबर 1 पे डालती हैं। द रीज़न इज़ वेरी वेरी सिंपल, वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, राइट। सो एट टाइम्स नॉट ऑलवेज, एट टाइम्स आई हैव कम अक्रॉस सच कैंडिडेट्स हु से कि सर आई एम द ओनली डॉटर, राइट, आई वांट टू स्टे क्लोज टू माय पेरेंट्स, so work life balance I want relatively more, right? एंड ऐसा नहीं है, IRS का जॉब भी बहुत हेक्टिक होता है, ठीक है, बट जस्ट दैट यू हैव काइंड ऑफ लाइक स्टेबिलिटी ऑफ अ प्लेस, दैट काइंड हो सकता है ऐसा। तो फाइन, दैट इज द आंसर, यू फ्रेम इट इन अ गुड वे, राइट। सो यू से सर आई हैव अ परसेप्शन, आई मे बी रॉन्ग, है ना। आपने दोनों चीज़ें बोल दी, है ना। तो आई हैव अ परसेप्शन, बट आई मे बी रॉन्ग, बट आई हैव अ परसेप्शन दैट रिलेटिवली द वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस मे बी इट इज़ बेटर in IRS, right? And I have certain responsibilities which I feel I'll be able to do justice to my work profile also, and I'll be able to manage those responsibilities also without falling short in either of the two.
Exactly.
तो ऐसा आप करके जवाब देंगे तो कोई इशू नहीं है उसके अंदर, आप कर सकते हैं उसको, कोई इशू नहीं। और लव फॉर द फील्ड, है ना। तो बाई चांस इफ यू आर फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस बैकग्राउंड मीन्स यू हैव डन बिजनेस स्टडीज और यू हैव डन चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी, राइट, लव फॉर योर सब्जेक्ट, राइट। सो दैट इज अ बिग जस्टिफिकेशन कि सर आई एम अ पैशनेट चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट और आई एम अ पैशनेट कॉमर्स बैकग्राउंड स्टूडेंट, माई ऑप्शनल इज ऑल्सो कॉमर्स सर, factual evidences should also be there for that, right? Or I said I'm passionate about IR, international relations, right? Then they may want to verify that information either in form of evidences or in the form of some next question which is related to, let's say, IR, or which is related to some very complex kind of a CA related thing, है ना। So you should have answer to that, right? Or you should at least be enthusiastic or open to answering it. That kind of scenario should be there. Also, one aspect which I forgot to mention earlier, for example, many of the students, because of the hectic schedule of the UPSC preparation, are not able to at times follow any hobby in terms of like physical fitness thing, especially when it comes to sports or anything, because the schedule is very very hectic. So I did not mention any sport in my this thing, because that was in my opinion not honest, right? So I did not mention badminton, which I used to play in my school and college days. तो मुझे लगा कि यार 5-6 साल से if I'm not doing anything, तो उसमें मैंने कुछ नहीं लिखा, उसमें लिखा मेंटेनिंग मैंने बहुत सिंपल सा कुछ लिखा था, इफ़ आई रिमेंबर दैट मेंटेनिंग फिजिकल फिटनेस या कुछ इस तरीके से, या फिर कुछ लिखा ही नहीं था, थोड़ा सा मुझे हेजी हो रहा है, बट द बोर्ड डिड पॉइंटेड, बिकॉज जब आप किसी चीज़ को ब्लैंक लिख देते हैं या किसी स्पोर्ट्स का नाम नहीं लिखते हैं, इट एंटर्स यूनिक, बिकॉज एवरी कैंडिडेट इज मेंशनिंग वॉलीबॉल, बैडमिंटन, समथिंग समथिंग समथिंग, सो सी इट अट्रैक्टेड अटेंशन। सो मिस्टर हिमांशु खत्री, डोंट यू प्ले एनी स्पोर्ट? राइट, आई वाज ऑनेस्ट। मैं कहा सर नो, आई हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू परस्यू एनी स्पोर्ट बिकॉज ऑफ the corporate job and then the UPSC preparation somehow, which I would have loved to, but whatever time I have, I try to maintain my physical fitness by running.
Right.
Then they asked me, they verified it. So Himanshu Khatri, tell me that how much amount of running is good for physical fitness? They wanted to verify. By chance I was honest. Right, I had been into running. अभी थोड़ा सा मैं right, I have not been, after COVID I have not been able, but yeah. So I told him, sir, I don't know what is the standard, right? उन्होंने WHO standard पूछा, but sir, I've been doing jogging every day 20 minutes, but regularly, and I've been able to lose 10 to 15 kgs of weight in the past 6 months, right? They're like, you are right. WHO standard is also 15 minutes or 20 minutes, something like that. I'm like, okay, sir. Right. So see, that's how honesty works.
Right.
That's the thing.
So honesty and being specific and having certain kind of rationale.
Yeah, being rational, being ground to earth, being open to change, right? This kind of scenario. Always attempting. Like in my interview, out of 10 questions, 7 questions were not the ones which I knew answer to. But I tried to answer on the spot, on the basis of logical aspects of that question. So I think the board liked it. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आप ऐसा मान के चले कि जो आपको आता है वही बोर्ड पूछेगा, या फिर आपका इंटरव्यू एक्चुअली में बेकार नहीं जा रहा है अगर वो आपसे ऐसे सवाल पूछे जिनके जवाब आपको नहीं पता है, उसके पीछे अंडरलाइंग वैल्यू क्या है, आप हाउ यू आर कमिंग अक्रॉस एज अ पर्सनैलिटी, आप गिव अप करने वाले व्यक्ति नज़र में आ रहे हैं या फिर आप लॉजिकल नज़र में आ रहे हैं, कैसे नज़र में आ रहे हैं, किस तरीके से, क्या आप हम्बल हैं या नहीं हैं, ठीक है ना। बल्कि मैं कहता हूँ कि जो आंसर्स आपको बड़े श्योरली आते हैं ना, उसमें भी ऐसा परसेप्शन नहीं बनना चाहिए दैट यू आर एरोगेंट पर्सनैलिटी, तो उसमें थोड़ा 2-3 सेकंड का, 5 सेकंड का एक गैप थोड़ा सा ले लो या फिर उसमें कुछ रीज़न ऐड कर दो, तपाक से नहीं बोलना है, उसमें लगता है कि तब तो those are the inputs.
Exactly. So, sir, we have comprehensively discussed regarding DAF, which has to be filled by the candidate from now onwards. But apart from DAF, also there are some kind of questions that UPSC board might be asking to you. So, in order to ensure holistic preparation with respect to the personality test, what other thing the aspirant should do apart from the DAF filling?
Apart from the DAF filling or within the DAF, for example, one thing is home garden. So therefore, brief history, polity, economy, art and culture of your home garden, right? The places where you have spent relatively more time period, maybe some school, etc. A name of the school may be related to some personality. Name of the college may be in relation to some personality. Your optional, right? For example, they ask questions at times. The latest developments which have taken place in your optional, they become important. In general, current affairs. Basically, the interview syllabus is DAF plus whatever you have done so far. Highest syllabus, maximum syllabus, it is of interview. So in UPSC, syllabus does not go down, it only increases, right? So therefore, whatever you are studying so far, add to it DAF, right? So they can ask any question which was there, which you were preparing for your mains. Some Supreme Court judgment comes, right? Principles around it, the current affairs whole. So it is whatever you were doing so far plus your DAF.
So basically, it is a cumulative of whatever you have done till this point of time. Yes. Okay, sir. So that was very comprehensively discussed with respect to DAF, and apart from that also, sir. Now, any final piece of advice that you want to give to the aspirants so that they will like make sure that first of all they are not going to commit any kind of mistakes while filling the DAF, and further how they can improve their interview preparation.
My final piece of advice would be students be confident, right? Be in that zone where you are not in begging mode, right? कर्म कर फल की इच्छा मत कर वाले मोड में रहोगे, ठीक है? तो जो आपकी ट्रू पर्सनैलिटी है दैट विल कम आउट, ठीक है ना? बहुत ज़्यादा बेगिंग मोड में रहोगे, बहुत ज़्यादा डेस्परेट रहोगे, आपकी ट्रू पर्सनैलिटी ट्रेट्स बाहर नहीं आएंगे, कुछ और बाहर आएगा जो आप हैं नहीं, ठीक है ना? तो एक तो वो चीज़ है, ड्रेस स्मार्ट, राइट? ड्रेस फॉर्मल, राइट? एंड एक द वे you talk to your grandfather or your grandmother, or the way you will talk to any elderly student, elderly person, right? That way you should behave in front of them, right? Whereby you are confident, but at the same time very respectful, right? And because they have greater experience, that is also one of the reason why you are open to change your opinions also slightly, right? Your opinions are not 100% opinion. So इस प्रकार से हमको रहना है, और बहुत ज़्यादा लोड मत दीजिए, आप कितनी प्रिपरेशन कर लीजिए, अल्टीमेटली दे विल ऑलवेज डू सच क्वेश्चंस विच आर बाउंसर क्वेश्चंस, और वो जानबूझ के, और वो होने भी चाहिए ताकि आपको ठीक से जज कर पाए, है ना? तो गो अहेड विद एनी काइंड ऑफ विदाउट एनी काइंड ऑफ बायसेस. आई थिंक दैट वुड बी द राइट अप्रोच विल बी देयर. It would be, I think, okay not to get influenced, but slightly knowing about the board members, because one of the board member is going to be your chairman. So slight knowledge, because it tells that you're a aware kind of a person who wants to know what he is entering into. So I think these are the final pieces of advice which would be there.
So thank you very much for joining us, giving your time for this particular session. And I think after attending and listening to this conversation, I think the student, those who are going to appear for the personality test, not only them but also those who are now about to start preparation, because ultimately you have to think from the personality test perspective also from the very beginning. So they are going to get a lot of insights and how and what things are going to matter in the UPSC examination till personality test.
Yeah, definitely. And Vision IAS is also committed to helping students in this particular domain. So I think we must have launched some interview thing, right? So well, we are available.
Exactly, and there is a specific support that we are providing with respect to filling this DAF 2.0. I think from today onwards, the date has started for the DAF 2.0. So if any student want to reach out to us, so the team is there to help them. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
So with this, we came to an end to this particular conversation video regarding the importance of DAF, how one should be appearing and reaching to the DAF 2.0 with respect to ensuring its holistic preparation. So we will meet in such further interactions with respect to some important issues. So till that time, stay tuned with Vision IAS. Thank you.